Friends, I would like to share my experience of assessing the quality of a systematic map or an evidence gap map that was part of a WHO project. So this video will benefit for those who are developing a systematic map, those who are reviewing or assessing the quality of a systematic map, and those who are using a systematic map. So I would like to start by mentioning that there was no checklist or tool available to assess the quality of a systematic map. So there was no tailor-made standardized tool for a systematic map. So I decided to develop some criteria based on AMSTAR 2, JBI tool for research synthesis, and I also referred guidance of producing a Campbell evidence and gap map and systematic mapping methodology from Epicenter UCL. So in this video, I would like to share some of the tips for assessing quality of systematic map. So it is based on several criteria. So let us look at one by one. So the first criteria, did the research question and inclusion criteria for the map include the components of PICO or similar relevant framework? So systematic map usually follows the process of systematic review, and it starts with the review question or the map question. So the framework, you can use different type of frameworks. So the most commonly used framework is PICO framework. It is typically used for the evaluation of interventions, such type of map. You can use any other framework. So did the report of the map contain an explicit statement that the methods were established prior to the conduct of the map? And did the report justify any significant deviations from the protocol? So the systematic map protocol, I have seen authors publish these type of protocols in Prospero and sometimes in Campbell website, 3IE website, and also as journal articles. So when there is a published report, published protocol of a systematic map, if you are deviating from any of the important steps or the significant deviations are there, it is good to report it is good to mention in the report. So the third criteria is whether the map included any stakeholder consultation process. It is desirable to have the stakeholder consultation process for clarifying the key concepts and also for the selection of studies, selection of the database, etc. So if this process was carried out, it is good to mention in the systematic map report. And did the authors explain their selection of the study design for inclusion in the map? So for any systematic review or a systematic map, the study designs are important. So it is up to the review authors, and based on the scope and the research question, sometimes you may decide to include only systematic reviews, sometimes only impact evaluation, sometimes all kind of study design. So this has to be explicitly stated and with justifications why you have selected a particular type of study design. Did the authors use a comprehensive literature search strategy? So this is another important aspect. So it's very important to have a comprehensive search strategy, which includes controlled vocabulary of different databases, plus keyword or free text terms, and also the key concepts of the research question and the framework. The different terms should be used in the search strategy. And now we have to check the sources or the resources, whether they were adequate. So it depends upon the the topic of the systematic map. So if it is a broad topic, or if it is like a broad type of a map question, then some of the common databases are searched. Sometimes the question or the topic could be specific to the particular geographical location. So some of the regional databases also to be searched. Did the authors perform study selection duplicate? This step is also important because the map also follows the systematic review process. So duplicate study selection and the screening process is important, and it is good to mention this in the report, like whether the title and abstract screening, how it is done, whether the sample of the records are duplicated, are perform the duplicate screening, or all the records. It may not be possible to do the duplicate selection for all the records. because there could be large number of records in a systematic map. Did the authors perform data extraction and duplicate? Again, this may not be possible because if there are larger number of records, it is not possible to do data extraction in duplicate for all the records. So in that case, you can use a sample or a selection of records to do the testing, the pilot testing of the tool, and to arrive at a consensus regarding the data extraction process. Where the methods to minimize errors in data extraction process have taken, this also the authors have to be careful. They should take all the necessary steps to reduce the to minimize the errors in data extraction, such as again the double data extraction of a set of or a sample records, and also pilot testing of the data extraction tool. Did the authors provide a list of excluded studies and justify the exclusion? This may not be necessary for a systematic map, and it may not be feasible to do so because there could be a large number of excluded studies, and to provide justification, we don't expect that from the systematic map authors. But you can provide some like a broad category of exclusion of studies in Prisma diagram if possible to do so. Did the authors describe the included studies in adequate detail? So again, it is based on the scope of the map and how much details, how much of detail data to be extracted. Again, depends on the scope and the review question. We don't expect to see a very large amount of details in a systematic map. So whether it is sufficient, whether it will fit for the purpose. So that is what we have to assess here. Next is about the risk of bias assessment of included studies. As you know, this is an optional step, so it is not compulsory to do risk of bias for all included records for systematic map. But I have seen some authors do the risk of bias selectively for maybe if they include only systematic review, they decide to do the risk of bias for all the included systematic reviews. Sometimes they have a variety of study design and they may do risk of bias for a particular type of study design. Again, this has to be explicitly mentioned in the record. Next is about the source of funding for the studies included in a map. This also may not be possible because there will be large number of records, and to go into the detail of the source of funding for all the studies may not be possible, and it is not necessary to be included in the systematic map. Did the authors report any potential sources of conflict of interest, including any funding they received for conducting the review? This could be reported, whether the systematic map is part of a funded project, or whether they have received any funding, or whether they have a conflict of interest. That has to be explicitly reported. Where recommendation for future research supported by the reported data. So this is again based on what type of data is there in the systematic map. If the systematic map is of systematic reviews, we expect to see systematic review level recommendation or the future research. Or if the systematic map contains both primary studies like randomized control trial and other type of primary studies, so we expect recommendation at the primary study level also. This again depends upon what data is available. Did the report include glossary of terms and definition? It is very important to provide the terms and definitions, all the key terms and definition used in the systematic map. Is the report easy to navigate for users? So this is an important criteria because unlike systematic reviews, systematic map is more of a visualization type of presentation. So the graphics and what software they used and how clearly they have visualized. We know there are software available like Tableau, AP Reviewer, and 3IE has their own software, but then whatever software they are using, it should be easy to navigate. The rows and columns should be like sometimes intervention, outcome type of matrix is used, but it should be clearly labeled and it should have a very clearly defined categories. It should not be overcrowded, so many bubbles, and then the bubbles will merge and we won't be able to read the map. So the navigation part or the user friendly part is very important, and All systematic map authors should keep that in mind. Is the report accompanied by an interactive map online platform? More often, yes. Systematic maps, there is an interactive part so that the users can engage with the map and then select what they would like to see. There are filters and there are ways, there are explanations given how to use a systematic map. But sometimes you will see a systematic map published as a journal article or only a report is available. In that case, there won't be interactivity, but it is desirable to have an interactive type of systematic map. Is the gap analysis sufficient? This is very important in a systematic map, because systematic map is to bring out the gaps. So the gaps in primary research, if you have primary studies, gaps in systematic review or a review level evidence, if you have a systematic map of systematic reviews. And also it will be also good to mention about the clusters, like what further work can be done using the systematic map. Is there definite clusters which we can do a further synthesis using systematic review design, or whether the commissioners has to recommend or commission some type of studies, or what is any implications for policy in terms of all that. And then also the gap in terms of the geographical location of studies, gap in terms of some particular intervention, some specific population, especially vulnerable population, etc. So this gap analysis is very important, and that gives lot of useful information to the readers. So thank you for watching. Hope this video is useful when you start a evidence gap map, or when you are looking at an evidence gap map, or when you are reviewing a systematic map, or assessing the quality of a systematic map. I hope some of the tips are useful. If you find this video interesting, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.